So okay na sir, makita na yung PowerPoint.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sige.
Take it away.
So, okay, sige, let's start. So Module 2, Understanding OSH. So before we'll start, we'll discuss first yung objectives natin. So the first objective is to, at the end of the module, participants should be able to discuss
Excuse me, sir.
basis OSH. Yes?
Ang tawag dito yung...
slideshow na lang natin.
Yes, para mas malaki po yung screen.
Okay, sige, sige.
Alright, slideshow na lang. Alright, thank you.
Okay, sige. So again, at the end of the module, participants should be able to discuss basic OSH concepts that they can apply at their workplace. And at the end of the session, participants will be able to first discuss the various theories and or models of accident causation, define work accidents, differentiate and identify the causes of accidents, and lastly, identify the goals of safety management. Okay, so first, what is an accident? So an accident, based on the OSHA definition, is an unplanned event that results in personal injury. So there are two components in its definition. First, it is an unplanned event. So of course, nobody wants it to happen. And next, that it caused injury to a person. Okay. Now that we have identified what is an accident, the next question we're going to ask is, why do accidents happen? So is it because the heavens will it so? Oras niya na? Tadhana niya ng maaksidente? Is it because it is innate in his work that accidents do happen? Kasama na talaga yan sa trabaho. Or is it because of ignorance? Tanga lang kasi siya. But here in DOLE or in OSH, there are no real causes, but rather excuses. Okay? So it means that accident can be prevented. Okay? So next, once we know that accident can be prevented, we need accidents. So there are two causes of accidents. The first one is unsafe acts, and the next one is unsafe condition. So what is an unsafe act? Actually, there are two components or factors that causes unsafe acts. First is the personal factors. It includes inadequate physical capability, lack of knowledge, lack of skills, stress, and improper motivation. So let us discuss first yung lack of knowledge and lack of skill. So let's say yung tao, the person who is working has no sufficient training on how to operate a particular machinery. So if that is present, it could lead to an unsafe act. And unsafe act could lead into an accident. Okay? The next factor we need to discuss is the job safety factor. So this includes inadequate leadership or supervision, inadequate engineering, inadequate purchasing or maintenance, inadequate tools or equipments, inadequate work standards, wear and tear, abuse, and misuse. So this factor is related to the management, more on the management side rather than on the personal side. Okay? So the next thing that I'm going to discuss to you is the accident causation theory. Why do accidents really happen? So we need to dig deeper in order to understand why do accidents happen. Okay. So according to H.B. Heinrich, Herbert William Heinrich, we need to ask several questions before we are going to identify the root cause of any accidents. So first, let us ask why there were injury. So of course, because accident happened. So the next question we're going to ask again is why do accident happen? Because there were unsafe acts or conditions. The next, again, we need to ask again why until we identify the root cause of the problem. So why there were unsafe act or unconditioned? Because there is a fault of the person. And lastly, why there was fault on the part of the person? Because there was an absence of planning and control. So the root cause to any injury or accident is actually the lack of planning and control. Okay? So this is the reason why we need to identify why do accidents happen so that we can address it immediately at its root cause. So as you can see, the domino sequence. So first, it starts with the lack of control. So if there are no control, so fault on the part of person could happen. And if there's fault on part of the person, unsafe act and unsafe condition exist. And if there are unsafe act or condition, accident happens. And if there are accident, it could lead into injury or loss. So the two central points of Heinrich's theory is that injuries are caused by the action of the preceding factors, and removal of the central factor negates the action of the preceding factors, and in doing so prevents accidents and injuries. So it means that if you want to address or to prevent injury or accident, we need to address its root cause. And its root cause is the lack of planning and control on the part of the organization. So once we identify that there is a lack of control and lack of planning of the part, so we need to make a plan in order to address these issues. So in making a plan, we need to identify where our hazards are coming from. So hazards are the things that can cause or can lead into injury. So hazard can result or can originate first from the person working. Of course, if the person working is not knowledgeable enough, hazard can exist. Next is it can result or it can originate from machineries. Okay, so if there are no proper guarding of the machineries, hazard do exist. Okay, and the next is materials. So of course, may mga materials or we have materials that are hazardous to our health, in which handling of it could lead into injury or illness. And next is methods. So if there are proper methods or the methods in executing a job is improper, it could lead into hazard and in injury. And of course, we have environment and workplace. So once we have identified what are the sources of hazard, we can evaluate the hazard. And once we have evaluated the hazard, we can control it. So dito na po yung pumapasok yung hierarchy, yung hazard identification and risk assessment and control. So first, we need to identify what are the hazard, evaluate the hazard, and control the hazard. So what are the example of workplace accidents? So na-mention kanina, Ma'am Sheila had mentioned earlier that the most common accident in workplace are falls. So falls from heights and falls from same level, slips and trips. We also have struck by rigid structure or sharp or rough objects, struck by falling objects, nahulugan, caught on in-between objects, naipit, electrocution, na kuryente, and of course, sunog or fire. So what are the cause of accidents? So ano po yung effect? What are the effect of accident? So first, we have the immediate cause or effect of the accident. So we know death, injury, pain, disease, damage, loss, and fear. And the next consequence or cause of accident is the short-term ones. So it includes the medical treatment, the repairs, the replacement, loss of production, increased cost, discipline, and low morale. And the long-term effect of accident is suffering, loss of income, disability, insurance, compensation, mistrust, missed targets, and profitability. So specifically, what are the cause or effect or consequence of accidents to the victim and his or her dependents? So first, we have suffering. No? So once we have experienced an accident in the family, everybody suffers. Okay? There's a loss of income because the person needs to be treated and he needs the opportunity to work and to earn income during that time. Effects on sports and hobbies. Given that you're been injured, it could be that you could no longer enjoy what you've been doing. For example, if you love playing basketball and you experience some injury, so you could no longer play it. Or at least to some extent, you can no longer play it as much as you can. Also, you have extra expenses in the event that you have maintenance, that you have therapy session in order to facilitate or in order to treat your injury. You also have your continuing disability and the effect in general in the family. So next, what is the cause or consequence of accident to your supervisor? Okay, so of course, worry, reclamation, report, extra work, training of new staff, and loss of prestige. Because we know that at the end of the day, you are your supervisor's responsibility. So if anything happens you, your supervisor would be the one who's going to be obligated or obligated to answer for the fault. Next, what is the cost or consequence of action to your section or department? So there is a loss or reduction in the capacity to produce and low morale. So the effect on your coworker. So they most likely, most of them would be afraid to come back to work given that a recent accident or injury has occurred. So what is the cause naman? What is the cause or consequence of the accident to your company or organization as a whole? So we have the loss of earning, compensation, regulatory penalty, especially if it is proven that there is a lack of diligence on the part of the management. Penalty could be imposed. Extra insurance premium, loss of client, damage to the equipment and materials, and lastly, loss in paying in legal action. So yun. And then cause or consequence of the accident in the nation as a whole. So first, we have loss of income. So there's loss in income, there is loss in income tax. There's also loss in image and loss in morale. So investor would no longer invest in the country if they see that most of the industries in the Philippines or in our country are accident prone. So they will be discouraged to invest in our country. Okay. So the accident caused iceberg. So what we can see what we can see into the effects of the injury or accident is only the tip of the iceberg, as they say. So we can see only the injury, the ill health, or the damage of property. But what we cannot see are the other indirect costs. It could be the lost time, extra wages, overtime, production delays, efficiency, cost of hiring, innovative training persons, legal costs and fines, investigation time, excess insurance claims, and loss in business reputation. Okay? But at the end of the day, the real cause or consequence of any accident or injury is its effect on the family of the victim. Okay? We need to understand that at the end of the day, most of the victims are family person. They are the one who are supporting their family. They are the breadwinner of their family. Children are expecting their father to return home safely and complete. So we need to put this on our heart that the real cost of any accident or injury is in the family of the victim. So the next thing that I'm going to discuss to you is the goal of occupational safety. So occupational safety deals with understanding the causes of accidents at work and ways to prevent unsafe act and unsafe condition in any workplace. So first, the goal of occupational safety is to recognize and evaluate hazard, and next is to act and to control the hazard. As I mentioned earlier, the hierarchy, we need to identify what are the hazards and evaluate the effect of the hazards. And after we have identified those, we can control those hazards. So when I mentioned kanina, Ma'am Sheila had mentioned earlier, it can be through implementation of proper way of working, PPEs, and such. So occupational safety and health is a discipline with a broad scope involving three major fields. So there are three major fields under OSH. So first is the occupational safety, next is the occupational health, and the last one is the industrial hygiene. So what is occupational safety? So occupational safety refers to freedom from accidents, absence of hazardous condition and acts, as I mentioned earlier. And while occupational health refers to freedom from illness and state of wellness, not just absence of disease. So OSH encompasses the social, mental, and physical well-being of the workers. That is the whole person. So what we're dealing here with occupational safety and health is not just the physical well-being of the worker. We also are concerned with his mental and social, especially now in our time in which mental health is gaining its track. And more companies are expressing and focusing their attention in maintaining the mental health of their workers. So notice, can accidents be prevented? So as we discussed earlier, yes, accidents can be prevented with the proper planning and control by hierarchy, by evaluation, or by identifying hazards and evaluating hazards. Okay? By the way, I would like to give a notice or warning for I'm about to show you some graphic images, some samples of accidents. So kung sino po yung may hinang sikmura, please refrain from seeing the succeeding images because I'm about to show you some graphic images as to the effect of some several accidents that we have witnessed here in our area. Okay? So accident interrupts or disrupts the normal and orderly progress of any activity and may result in injury to people and or damage or destruction of property and the result to losses. So yan. Okay? Again, warning. For those who cannot bear to see these graphic images, please refrain from watching. So, ito. So, ang nangyari dito is kinain ng machine ng kamay ng worker. Okay? So, I don't know kung makaka-recover pa ito, but I think multiple session of physical therapy ang kailangan after surgery para lang mabalik yung motor skills ng worker. Okay? So we have this one, kinain again ng makina. Yan. Yan, yung nahulugan sa ulo. Okay, common ito sa mga construction site. Yung saan yung mga bricks o yung mga metals mahulog from higher level, mahulugan yung ulo ng tao. Ito, cuts. And this one, amputated right distal thumb after stitching. So as you can imagine, he could no longer work in some of the function of the company, given that he lost his thumb. So in this one, punctured foot. So if left untreated, could lead into infection. So as you can see on the right side, right image, so infection has already happened. So in this one, a nail or a pointed metal inside the toenail of the worker. So as you can see, masakit. It's very painful. And this one, very unsafe act. So he's using the grinder on his foot, or he's using his foot to hold the metal that he is grinding. So the effect, so as you can see, this one, and unsafe act, again, unsafe act. He's using his foot to stabilize the metal that he is grinding. So another one, the toe was crushed by a forklift. So this was caused by not using any PPEs, especially steel toe shoes. So in this one, instrument tech was calibrating load cells the old-fashioned way when a 2 pounds mass that was being used to test a cell from each perch and landed on the tech's foot. The tech was not wearing steel toes at the time of the accident. The weight fell approximately from 4 feet. So as you can see, the importance of PPE. So if he was wearing any steel toe shoes, the damage could have been mitigated or even prevented. Okay. So in this photo, you can see the outline of the way on the top of the foot. So you can see where the weight was pressed on his foot. So in this one, another accident by the pallet and the forklift. So amputation, so the doctor has no choice but to amputate his toes. So as you can see, the bone is protruding from his muscle. And in this one, the worker was pressed or accidentally pressed by the machine. Kinain po siya ng machine. Opo, nangyari po ito November 2, 2003. So here are the different angles. As you can see, from this perspective, there are no guarding on the machine. So again, it is an unsafe act that led into an accident. So here's another angle of the accident. And this was the person or the victim that died. So as you can see, it's just a normal person. I think he attended a beauty pageant in his organization. So this just means that accident could happen to anybody. It doesn't matter who you are, as long as hazards are left untreated, accident could happen to anybody. Accident doesn't choose. There are no criteria. Okay? So ito, profile of the most commonly injured workers. So the male, married, ages of 26 to 30 years old, with 1 to 5 years of work experience, assigned in first shift. So as you can see, common yung mga lalaki na ma-aksidente, and then kasal sila or married, may pamilya. Okay? And then most of them between 26 to 30, and some of them have 5 years, 2 years of work experience, but still, they were injured. Okay? So remember, accidents are caused and can be prevented. So again, with the proper planning and control, we can prevent accident. So, do you have any questions? Tapos na ang ating presentation. Short lang po ito. Sir Irvin, baka may question kayo, Sir Irvin?
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Opo.
Okay, so, any question? May tanong po ba tayo? Anyone? I think walang question, sir.
Okay.
Yata lahat, ano?
Opo.
Okay,
I think
so...
yung sa mga images siguro, sir.
Yeah. So, this is your last slide?
Yes, po. Yes, sir.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Oh, yeah. We have a
Yes.
question. Yes,
May
go
question
ahead.
From RDPC also. So we have one.
RD Fishing. Can we see you, sir? Do you have a camera?
You're already here.
Nakatayo po siya.
Okay. Sige, hindi ko siya makita.
Not a question, but for his ano yun? Concern.
Yes, sir.
Only concern. Okay, start now.
Good afternoon. My name is Karala Onangoy. I am from Artituna Kenes, Papua New Guinea. I have a concern to make here regarding the safety training previous and now Jack, you conducted a training. It's very good. And the concern is I'm a training coordinator also, and I see that attitude is very important. Attitude towards everything. We can run trainings and all this stuff, but if the participants do not have a good attitude towards the training, then our training just come on one side of the year and go outside. So the concern here or the comment is attitude is very, very important to any trainings that we conduct. So if all the participants have good attitude, I don't think they will face any big risk. But if they don't have any good attitude, then it is because of their own attitude and personal attitude towards safety trainings and this stuff, then they will face accidents. With that, thank you very much.
Okay, no, as Sir have mentioned, no, attitude is very important. So we can also associate that with discipline, no? If there are no discipline in the workplace, if we won't follow the prescribed procedures or planned by our safety officer, accident would also happen, will always happen. So I agree with Sir that attitude is important in implementing occupational safety and health in our workplace.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. Some more question? You can also use our chat box. So medyo mahaba pa yung oras natin. Okay, so we have enough time pa to entertain your questions. So kindly share your questions, or meron ba tayong gustong i-share na experience in your workplace? Anyone? Okay, so while waiting for the others to share their questions, I would like to remind everyone that we will be issuing certificates for this seminar. We will be issuing 2 certificates coming from RD Corporation, RD University, and the other one will be coming from Department of Labor and Employment. And that will be signed by, of course, our speakers. and the regional director of DOLE here in Jensen. So for us to capture kung sino yung mga nag-attend ng training natin ngayon, kindly inform the PMD heads, and kung sino man yung mga PMD heads na nandito ngayon, kindly share with me the list of your attendance signed by the employees and the Excel file, para madaling ma-extract natin yung names ng every employee for the certificate. Remember that we will not issue a certificate kapag hindi na naka-attend ng 2-day na webinar. So we need to complete. So supposedly this is an 8-hour seminar, pero kinumpress lang natin siya, of course, in coordination with the Department of Labor and Employment. Some more questions? Parang nahihiya sila magtanong ng question. Okay, Sir Jack, before we proceed, since medyo mahaba pa yung oras natin, is it okay if we're going to pause for a few minutes para sa meron lang tayong issue ng mga ilang videos to our participants?
Sure, that is sir.
Okay, thank you.
Sir Erwin, may nag-ask po sa chat box from RDTC training. How about po yung certificate of the participants?
Yeah, we will discuss that later. We will give the instruction later before we end our webinar on the certificates. Okay, so yes, Eliza, what's the question?
Yung sa chat box po na concern, sir, from our DTI, nag-iikot daw po yung DOLEB, naghahanap ng certificate ng safety officer, but wala silang may pakita. Ang branch mismo walang may pakita dahil hindi naman nag-set ng certificate ang DOLE after the seminar. Nag-email na din daw po sila pero no reply. Na-replyan ko na po, I guess we have to address your concern with DOLE. And then, best efforts na lang po na ma-mitigate din yung concern.
Okay, so regarding the certificates, especially for this webinar, we will base the issuance on the list na ifo-forward sa amin coming from the PMD heads or coming from the PMD or the People Management Department of every subsidiary. So once maisama yung name ninyo doon and you were able to complete our evaluation for this seminar, rest assured that we will be giving you the certificates. Just give us perhaps a week, no? Kasi yung certificates that will be coming from the DOLE office will be depending on the availability of our the regional director and our speakers kung kailan nila mahatapos yung ating webinar. Kasi we expect more than 300 to 500 viewers, participants ang meron ngayong araw na ito. So medyo makapal yung pipirmahan nila ng mga certificates. Okay, so I hope I was able to address your question. Regarding the viewers na nanonood sa YouTube natin, yes, we will also provide, as I've mentioned, if that, just inform your PMD heads that you were able to watch the video and then you were able to join the webinar because we can only accommodate 100 participants for the Zoom. That's why we tried to look for other means so that we can accommodate the other employees who were not able to access online. Okay, some more questions, clarifications? Eliza, were you able to capture the names of our employees who asked question kanina?
Yes po, sir.
Okay. Okay, reminder also yung mga nag-raise ng questions. Thank you so much for your question. We'll be giving you a special gift later. So we will announce later kung sino yung mga names na nag-raise ng question. Okay, so we are still open for your question. Anyone who would like to share or ask question? Meron pa ba? Kung wala na, kindly share a thumbs up so we can proceed with our next activity. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so kung wala ng question, then may I call in Ma'am Remedios, Ma'am Banban, to kindly assist me in sharing or awarding our certificate of appreciation to our speaker.
Sir Erwin, for a while lang po, na-disconnect po si Ma'am Ban.
Alright, sige. Sige sir, before we proceed with the awarding of the certificates, any reminder from your office, Sir Jack? Baka meron pong mga upcoming program or activity na kailangan naming something to look forward. Meron po ba? Nasa call pa yata si sir. Anyway, sige, to remind everyone, tomorrow will be the same setup po tayo. I would like to request everyone to log in 1 hour before and kindly use the format na ginagamit ninyo ngayon because we will not accommodate yung magamit lang ng mga code name just to make sure na employee ng RD group yung pumapasok sa webinar natin because this is exclusive to our employees lang under RD group of companies. So anyone can just forward the link to anyone, especially kung may mga kilala tayo. So just to make sure na ma-accommodate natin lahat, please use the profile name na nire-require ng for this webinar. Yes, Liza, you're raising your hand. Lice, do you have a question? You're raising your hand.
Sir, dito na lang daw po mag hand over ng Certificate of Appreciation si Ma'am Van since hindi na siya makakonect.
Okay, sige.
Ito na.
I think there is a question coming from Jensen Shipyard.
Sige po.
Sige, kindly read, Eliza, what's the question?
Johnson Shipyard is on the process of improving quality management systems. Question, is there a standard content in formulating a safety manual?
Hello, sir. Sige po. Address po ito sa DOLE yung question.
Yung question po, sir, is that may standard content po ba in formulating a safety manual?
Okay. Sige. With regards po sa safety manual, depende po yan sa industry po kung saan po yung applicable yung manual. So, when we say na standard talaga na content, hindi po kami makakapagbigay kasi po paiba-iba po yan per industry natin. So, I think siguro yung mga reference tayo from others sa OSHA, siguro pwede tayong mag-download. And then, mag-follow question din ako kay Ma'am Sheng, baka may mga similar siya na template. Pero, hindi talaga yan ang when we say na standard na parehas lang, hindi po. Kasi iba, case-to-case basis kasi po yung ating industry. Yung sa specific industry natin, iba-iba po yung course of action o yung paano ginagawa yung trabaho. So when we say na standard talaga ng content, wala po. Wala po. We can give you guides lang. Yan lang po. I hope na answer your question, sir.
Okay, thank you for that insight, Sir Jack. I hope your question is answered na po, Johnson Shipyard. Any other questions po before we proceed with the awarding of certificates? I guess wala na. So, Sir Ervin?
I think may somebody na gusto mag-add sa answer ko. I think si Mr. Edgar Gonzaga.
Yes, so go ahead. May question ba si Sir Edgar?
May gusto po siyang i-add sa answer.
Okay, sige. Go ahead, Sir Edgar. Go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon po, Sir Jack. So, medyo add ko lang po yung about sa question ni Jensen Shipyard since familiar po ako sa process nila. So, medyo po may dagdag po ako. So, since most of the activities po ng shipyard natin is more on construction. So, mayroon po tayong DO13 na pwedeng sundin para makita natin kung ano yung content na ating safety program since more on construction kayo. At the same time, may mga common programs po tayo na pwedeng sundin like the policy and programs na template na available from DOLE. So, pwede kayong humingi sa DOLE or pwede ka din kayong bigyan. Since lahat naman po yung template ni DOLE is available at the same time free for all establishment. Mas madaming gumagamit ng template, mas maganda. So, template natin para programs like for the tuberculosis, the hepatitis B, the alcohol, at the same time sa drug abuse or any substances. And even yung sa ating current situations like the pandemic. So, si DOLE is currently nagpalabas ng ating COVID-19 policy and programs. And then, yung recently, year 2018, meron din tayong mental health template. So, dapat nakapaloob yan sa ating programs. And then, para hindi kayo mahirapan, so, to all the establishment, para hindi kayo mahirapan sa paggawa ng ating template, at saka yung mga policy and programs, bisitahin nyo yung available na checklist ni DOLE. Kung di, pwede nyo i-search yan sa internet yung DOLE na programs. Yung checklist nila is nandoon lahat ng kanilang requirements. Yung fire drill or quick drill, nandoon yan lahat. And then, yung nasabi ko din kanina ng mga programs, so pwede nyo pong i-include dun sa inyong programs para ma-capture nyo lahat ng mga requirements ni DOLE para during inspection po is maibigay na po lahat. So yun lang po. Thank you.
Thank you. There's another question from UpScore. Is there a standard or reference given by DOLE? Sir Jack?
Good afternoon. Actually, pasensya lang na misread ko po yung question. I thought yung specific manual talaga on how to implement yung sa trabaho ng isang company. Pero given na na-inline ako yung sa answer, so sa ad ni Sir Edgar, meron po tayo yung mga specific manual. It comes sa HIV, tuberculosis. Meron po, ibigay ko po yung link kayo sa group chat, yung mga template namin. Yun po, ibigay ko po. Actually, pasensya lang na misread ko po yung question ni Sir kanina. I thought yung specific talaga na manual per industry. So meron po kami yung general na template, safety manual meron po. Ibibigay ko po yung link kayo para makuha niyo po yung template. Wait lang po ibigay ko lang. And then yung sa question ni Sir Robert, yung is there any standard or reference given by DOLE? Yun po, ibibigay ko po yung link para sa mga templates.
Okay, so some more questions? Sige, to clarify, andito na ba si RDMI? Andito na ba si Ma'am Jonalyn? As we prepare for the closing of our webinar this afternoon. Eliza, kindly check Ms. Jonalyn. Baka nandyan na si Pastor Dan for the closing remarks later. Okay, so kung wala ng question, we will proceed with the issuance of our, or the awarding of our certificate of appreciation to our resource speaker. Ms. Van?
Good afternoon, Sir Herbs.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sir Jack. Good afternoon, everyone. In behalf of Ma'am Stella Verana, AVP CPMD Head of RD Corporation, we are grateful to present to Mr. Jack Ronan O. Bravente, CPA, the Certificate of Appreciation for sharing his valuable insights and knowledge as resource speaker during the webinar entitled OSH Mandatory Training on March 31 to April 1, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. via Zoom, given this 31st day of March 2022 in Kalumpang, General Santos City, Philippines. Signed by Mr. Irvin Z. Amoroto, CPMD Senior Manager, Training, Recruitment, Labor Relation, and Safety. Ms. Estela Marie Overana, AVP CPMD Head. Ms. Jeanette V. Aligway, VP Corporate Head and Group Controller. Thank you, Sir Jack.
Thank you din, ma'am, for giving us the opportunity to be here. And to add, actually, nabigay ko na po yung link para sa mga templates. Nandiyan na po lahat from yung na-mention kanina, tuberculosis, HIV, sexual harassment, COVID-19, nandiyan din po. And also, if you want to read our department order 198, ibigay ko din po yung link.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir Jack. Before we finally end our program this afternoon, is there any reminder from your office na something to look forward ng mga companies natin, especially in terms of yung pag-a-apply ng ating safety seal, no? Baka merong mga questions tayo on that, especially in relation to our pandemic, you know, na-experience ngayon.
Sir Irvin, with regards to safety seal, no? Actually, yung pag-apply sa safety seal is na hati siya per agency. So yung kay DOLE, ang nakatawa kay DOLE is yung mga industry na nasa manufacturing, and then yung sa communications and medias natin. So if you want, we can give our number so that we can guide you kasi nasa system na po yung pag-apply natin. So hindi na po pumunta dito sa opisina, pwede na po mag-request via our online system for the safety seal.
Okay, sige. So, okay, so before we answer, I would like to remind everyone again, tomorrow will be the second day of our OSH mandatory webinar or seminar for everyone. And mas interesting yung topic natin bukas because it's more of application ng lahat ng mga pinag-usapan natin today. No? It's more of how are we going to control yung mga hazards in our workplace, especially yung ating mga manufacturing companies na medyo high risk yung status natin, no, in terms of the operation. So and kung ano yung mga small medium enterprise na meron tayo ngayon dito sa grupo natin, malaking tulong po ito sa of course kagaya ng sabi ni Sir, this is annual na ginagawa pero it's good na meron tayong ginagawang ganitong klaseng webinar every year because nakakalibrate natin kung ano yung mga practices or best practices na kailangan natin in terms of safety and health. Okay. So once again, Sir Jack, thank you so much. Okay. So wala yata si Pastor Dan, may I request our chaplain, sino yung available chaplain natin to lead our closing prayer? Before you leave, guys, by the way, reminder everyone na mayroon tayong group photo before tayo aalis. And we will be sharing also the link for the certificate. Right now, wag muna nyong i-close yung ating call because we will send the link for our certificates and for the evaluation of this webinar. Si Pastor Sherwin, nandiyan na ba? Available na ba for our closing prayer? Eliza, sino yung ating chaplain na available from RDMI? Kung kung hindi available si chaplain, nandiyan na ba yung na-assign natin na prayer leader for coming from the auditor department? Era, Angelica? Hello?
So let's all, hello sir. Nadunggan
Yes.
ko.
Yeah, loud and clear. Go ahead.
Let us all be aware of our merciful God. Thank you for this opportunity to reflect together on important things. Thank you for gathering us together once again to learn and improve our craft. Thank you for the time that has given to us today. Give us the courage this week to live out our values in all that we do. Touch our hearts so that we may be compassionate towards one another and teach us the light in simple things. All this we ask and pray. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. So thank you so much. Eliza, kindly facilitate the group photo. Liz? Eliza? Nawala yata si Eliza. Adjust ba si Eliza? Okay, so while waiting for Eliza, I've forwarded the link for the evaluation. So kindly click that link later, no, for the evaluation of this webinar. And that will be our basis sa issuance ng RD University certificate. Aside from the DOLE certificate that we will be issuing to you. That is only good for day 1. We have another certificate for tomorrow. So take note, the certificate that we will be issuing for today is only for day 1. And we'll have a separate certificate for the day 2. Okay, so let's have a group photo kung nandiyan na si Eliza. Wala pa rin si Eliza. So I request everyone to kindly open your cam and smile. No? First, medyo marami tayo. So let's take a picture group by group. So first group muna tayo. Okay. Okay, next. Next group. Okay, one moment. Ready? Okay. Okay, next group. Okay, walang masyadong naka-open ng cam sa third group. And then finally, our last group. Okay. So thank you so much, Sir Jack. Once again, thank you so much in behalf of RD Corporation and RD Group of Company. We look forward na makasama ka ulit namin sa aming future webinars. Okay, everyone, kindly click the evaluation link dyan sa ating chat box, and I'll give you until 30 minutes to finish the evaluation para ma-capture namin yung inyong name for the issuance of our certificates. Thank you and have a nice day, everyone.
Kasama sa aking pag-angat, tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat, tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. 40 taon na tayong magkasama. 40 taon ngayon ay hinulmas. Sa pagsisikap ang pangarap ay ating abot kamay. Ikaw ay kagapay sa tuloy-tuloy na tagumpay. RD, kay aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. 'Di pasasalamat sa Diyos mapagmahal. Apat na dekada tayo kanya pinagpala. Ikaw ang aming simula at walang hanggan. Di kalidad na produkto hatid sa inyo. Pagkain, trabaho, tunay na serbisyo. Ito aming layunin, pagsisikapan din, kisama mo ang dughan. Kamu ang number one. RD, kaya aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagkalan. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. RD, kaya aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagkalan. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Better, better life ahead. Yeah. Better, better life ahead. Better, better life ahead. Yeah. Better, better life ahead. Better life ahead.
Beloved officers and employees, with God in our side, we promise
RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. 40 taon na tayong magkasama.
40 taon ngayon ay hinulmas.
Sa pagsisikap ang pangarap ay ating abot kamay.
Ikaw ay kagapay sa tuloy-tuloy na tagumpay.
RD, kay aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Anumang pagsubok ating haharapin.
Hindi susuko at ito'y lilipas. At ito'y lilipas din.
Pagmamahal sa kapwa, puso ay punuin.
Naasang nakaginhawaan, abot kamay ng mga pangarap.
RD, kay aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Kung ating lilingunin kahapon nagdaan, labis na pasasalamat sa Diyos mapagmahal. 4 na dekada tayo kanya pinagpala. Ikaw ang aming simula at walang hanggan. Di kalidad na pagkain, trabaho, tunay na serbisyo. Ito aming layunin, pagsisikapan din, isama mo ang dughan. Kamu ang number one. RD, kay aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat.
Wala kami bill statement sir, online pa yun ang wala kami bill statement, online pa yun ang What ito? Tingnan ko talaga. Renewal ng isang
RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life kasama. 40 taon ngayon ay hinulmas. Pagsisikap ang pangarap ay ating abot kamay. Ikaw ay kagapay sa tuloy-tuloy na tagumpay. RD, kay aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Anumang pagsubok ating haharapin, hindi susuko at ito'y lilipasin. Mamahas ka ang puso at tingin. Lakas na maginawaan ng mga pangalan.
basta makaka-remember ito po.
RD, kay aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Kung ating lilingunin kahapon nagdaan, labis na pasasalamat sa Diyos mapagmahal. 4 na dekada tayo kanyang pinagpala. Ikaw ang aming simula at walang hanggan. Di kalidad na produkto hatid sa inyo. Pagkain, trabaho, tunay na serbisyo. Ito aming layunin, pagsisikapan din. Kisama mo ang dughan. Kamu ang number 1. RD, kay aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Life ahead. RD, kay aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Better, better life ahead. Better, better life ahead. Better, better life ahead. Better, better life ahead. Better life ahead.
Beloved officers and employees, with God on our side, we promise we will have
Sir Arvey. Salamat sir. Hello.
RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. tayong magkasama. 40 taon ngayon ay hinulmas. Pagsisikap ang pangarap ay ating abot kamay. Ikaw ay kagapay sa tuloy-tuloy.
Ma'am Gina, Aleo ko para mama.
Tuloy-tuloy na tagumpay. RD, kaya aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagangan. Tibayan ng loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Anumang pagsubok ating haharapin. Hindi susuko, hindi lilipas din. Pagmamahal sa kapwa, puso ay pupulin. Naasang nakaginhawaan, abot kamay ng mga pangarap. RD, kaya aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagangan. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Kung ating lilingunin kahapon nagdaan, labis na pasasalamat sa Diyos mapagmahal. 4 na dekada tayo kanyang pinagpala. Ikaw ang aming simula at walang hanggan. Di kalidad na produkto hatid sa inyo. Pagkain, trabaho, tunay na serbisyo. Ito aming layunin, pagsisikapan din. Isa mo ang dughan. Kamu ang number 1. RD, kaya aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagangan. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. RD, kaya aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagangan. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Better life ahead. Yeah. Better life ahead. Better life ahead. Yeah. Better life ahead. Better life ahead.
Beloved officers and employees, with God in our side.
RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. RD, kaya aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. 40 taon na tayong magkasama. 40 taon ngayon ay hinulmas. Pagsisikap ang pangarap ay ating abot kamay. Ikaw ay kagapay sa tuloy-tuloy na tagumpay. RD, kaya aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagangan. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Diyos, better life ahead. Anumang pagsubok ating haharapin. Hindi susuko at ito'y lilipas din. Pagmamahal sa kapwa, puso ay puluin. Naasang nakaginhawaan, abot kamay ng mga pangarap. sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Kung ating lilingunin kahapon nagdaan, labis na pasasalamat sa Diyos mapagmahal. 4 na dekada tayo kanyang pinagpala. Ikaw ang aming simula at walang hanggan. Di kalidad na produkto hatid sa inyo. Pagkain, trabaho, tunay na serbisyo. Ito aming layunin, pagsisikapan din. Kisama mo ang dughan. Kamu ang number 1. RD kaya aking tahanan. RD kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. RD kaya aking tahanan. RD kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Better life ahead. Yeah. Better life ahead. Better life ahead. Yeah. Better life ahead. Better life ahead.
Our beloved officers and employees, with God in our side, we promise we
RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. 40 taon na tayong magkasama.
40 taon ngayon ay hinulma.
Sa pagsisikap ang pangarap ay ating abot kamay.
Ikaw ay kagapay sa tuloy-tuloy na tagumpay.
RD, kaya aking tahanan. Aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Anumang pagsubok ating haharapin.
Hindi susuko at ito'y lilipas din.
Pagmamahal sa kapwa, puso ay puluin.
Naasam na kaginhawaan, abot kamay ng mga pangarap.
RD, kaya aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Kung ating lilingunin kahapon nagdaan, labis na pasasalamat sa Diyos mapagmahal. 4 na dekada tayo kanyang pinagpala. Ikaw ang aming simula at walang hanggan. Di kalidad na produkto hatid sa inyo. Pagkain, trabaho, tunay na serbisyo. Ito aming layunin, pagsisikapan din. Kisama mo ang dughan. Kamu ang number 1. RD, kaya aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. RD, kaya aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Better life RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. 40 taon na tayong magkasama.
40 taon ngayon ay hinulma.
Sa pagsisikap ang pangarap ay ating abot kamay.
Ikaw ay kagapay sa tuloy-tuloy na tagumpay.
RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Anumang pagsubok ating haharapin.
Hindi susuko at ito'y lilipas din.
Pagmamahal sa kapwa, puso ay pupuin.
Naasang nakaginhawaan, abot kamay ng mga pangarap.
RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Kung ating lilingunin kahapon nagdaan, labis na pasasalamat sa Diyos mapagmahal. 4 na dekada tayo kanyang pinagpala. Ikaw ang aming simula at walang hanggan. Di kalidad na produkto hatid sa inyo. Pagkain, trabaho, tunay na serbisyo. Ito aming layunin, pagsisikapan din. Isama mo ang dughan. Kamu ang number 1. RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. 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 Better life ahead.
Beloved officers and employees, with God in our side, we promise we will have a better life ahead.
RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pag-angat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. pung taon na tayong magkasama.
40 taon ngayon ay hinulma.
Pagsisikap ang pangarap ay ating abot kamay.
Ikaw ay kagapay sa tuloy-tuloy na tagumpay.
RD kay aking tahanan, RD kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ng loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Anumang pagsubok ating haharapin,
Hindi susuko at ito'y lilipas din.
pagmamahal sa kapwa, puso ay pupuluin.
Inaasam na kaginhawaan, abot kamay ng mga pangarap.
RD kay aking tahanan, RD kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Kung ating lilingunin kahapon nagdaan, labis na pasasalamat sa Diyos mapagmahal. 4 na dekada tayo kanyang pinagpala. Ikaw ang aming simula at walang hanggan. Di kalidad na produkto hatid sa inyo, pagkain, trabaho, tunay na serbisyo. Ito aming layunin, pagsisikapan din, kisama mo ang dughan. Kamu ang number 1. RD kay aking tahanan, RD kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. RD kay aking tahanan, RD kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Better life ahead. Yeah. Better life ahead. Better life ahead. Yeah. Better life ahead. Better life ahead.
Beloved officers and employees, with God in our side, we promise we will have a better life ahead. God in our side.
RD ikay aking tahanan, RD kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. RD ikay aking tahanan, RD kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. 40 taon na tayong magkasama.
40 taon ngayon ay hinulma.
Pagsisikap ang pangarap ay ating abot kamay.
Ikaw ay kagapay sa tuloy-tuloy na tagumpay.
RD kay aking tahanan, RD kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Anumang pagsubok ating haharapin,
Hindi susuko at ito'y lilipas din.
pagmamahal sa kapwa, puso ay pupuluin.
Inaasam na kaginhawaan, abot kamay ng mga pangarap.
RD kay aking tahanan, RD kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Kung ating lilingunin kahapon nagdaan, labis na pasasalamat sa Diyos mapagmahal. 4 na dekada tayo kanyang pinagpala. Ikaw ang aming simula at walang hanggan. Di kalidad na produkto produkto hatid sa inyo, pagkain, trabaho, tunay na serbisyo. Ito aming layunin, pagsisikapan din, kisama mo ang dughan. Kamu ang number one. RD, kaya aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagangan. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. RD, kaya aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagangan. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Better life ahead. Yeah, better life ahead. Better life ahead. Yeah, better life ahead. Better life ahead.
Beloved officers and employees, with God in our side, we promise we will have a better life ahead.
RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. RD, ika'y aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. 40 taon na tayong magkasama.
40 taon ngayon ay hinulma.
Sa pagsisikap ang pangarap ay ating abot kamay.
Ikaw ay kagabay sa tuloy-tuloy na tagumpay.
RD, kaya aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagangan. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Anumang pagsubok ating haharapin,
Hindi susuko at ito'y lilipas din.
pagmamahal sa kapwa, puso ay puluin.
Naasang nakaginhawaan, abot kamay ng mga pangarap.
RD, kaya aking tahanan. RD, kasama sa aking pagangat. Tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. Kung ating lilingunin kahapon nagdaan, labis na pasasalamat sa Diyos. Lingunin kahapon nagdaan, labis na pasasalamat sa Diyos mapagmahal. 4 na dekada tayo kanyang pinagpala. Ikaw ang aming simula at walang hanggan. Di kalidad na produkto hatid sa inyo, pagkain, trabaho, tunay na serbisyo. Ito aming layunin, pagsisikapan din, kisama mo ang dughan. Kamu ang number one.
Kasama sa aking tatangan, tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead. RD kay aking tahanan, RD kasama sa aking tatangan, tibayan ang loob at magtiwala sa Diyos. Better life ahead.
Beloved officers and employees, with God in our side, we promise we will have a better life ahead.